So with the NBA drafts coming up very soon, I decided I want to give a quick NBA draft overview right before, of course, the draft. And the overview is going to really be some of my sleepers, some guys who I don't think are as good as they are, not really overrated, but just not as good as people think they are. And also, some trades to look at as well as teams to also look out for in the draft. For us to feel like that content, should like check out and sub. I not only make basketball content, different types of basketball content, might make meme content, hockey content, baseball content, even gameplay. So if you like the type of diverse content, be sure to like, share, comment, and stuff. Alright, so let's start out with the draft overview. Starting out with some teams that could trade. We of course have the Warriors, who have the 7th and 14th pick, and in all honesty, I don't think the Warriors should keep that pick. In my opinion, Steph Curry's like 33. They need a 34. So, and Klay Thompson's coming off of like a 2-year injury, so I don't think it's smart to like focus on developing prospects or drafting. No one at those 7th or 14th overall picks are guys who I would potentially draft or pick over trading. In my opinion, the Warriors should probably trade like Wiggins and Wiseman for like DeRozan, and then they should trade those 2 picks for Yusuf Nurkic. I think that they're not really going to get a superstar. I think they should try to target 2 guys to kind of fill up their lineup. But another team is the Lakers. They have LeBron, so they're probably going to trade a late pick, especially because, like Kuzma and KCP isn't enough to get a really good point guard. And there's also teams like the Kings. They're not going to trade their pick, but they're going to definitely be a huge head scratcher when it comes to who they draft, whether it's Isaiah Jackson, Ty Jones, maybe even Alperen Sengun. Another team that's going to be interesting to see is the Raptors, whether or not they'll draft Jalen Suggs or pass up or trade away. Depending on if they draft Jalen Suggs or not will depend on if they're keeping Kyle Lowry or not. And of course, another team, or one of the bigger teams in my opinion, are the Thunder. I also forgot to say the Pistons because, they want to trade the 1st overall pick. And in my opinion, Kate Cunningham, I don't think he's as good as people think he is, but he's still good. But if I could get Jalen Green and something else on top of that, I'll be good. But the Thunder are a team that, have really wanted to trade their pick or trade up. I think they should trade up for Evan Mobley, but they also potentially want the 1st overall pick. They've wanted the 3rd overall pick. So it's going to be interesting to see what those teams do. All right, now that I got that out of the way, let's talk about some of the guys who aren't as good as people think. I don't think they're overrated or going to be bust. I just don't think they're as good as people are having up to be. The first guy I have is actually Cade Cunningham. I like Cade Cunningham. He's a prospect who has a lot of potential, 6'8", bulky. He's very versatile on defense, good playmaker. The only problem is that he wasn't explosive or athletic. He was actually very slow in college. Of course, he was on a bad team. Oklahoma State has no NBA talent. But again, it's kind of a concern to see, or not a concern, but it's kind of, interesting to see that he's lost his athleticism. And honestly, if you're not an athletic point guard, if you're not able to, get past your defenders, or it's going to be hard for you to, be productive on NBA sense, even if you're like 6'8". But I still think you go number 1. I still think he has potential to be athletic because he was athletic last year, but still. Another guy I have is Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga is good. He's 6'8" as well. He's like long. He's athletic. The only problem with him is that he did not play good offensively at all. His shooting splits, I don't know his field goal percentage, but his 3-point percentage was pretty bad. He shot like 26% on like 5 to 6 threes a game. And not only that, but his ball handling ability was very inconsistent. Like at best, it was like decent. Maybe it's because he played against, NBA talent instead of college talent, but still. Another prospect I want to talk about is Usman Garuba. He's also a 6'8" prospect. A lot of these 6'8" prospects, but the biggest problem with him is that a lot of people think he's going to be the big man of the future. I think he's just going to be a really good role player. I think that's his, his floor is high. His ceiling is very low. He's a good defensive player. He's very versatile. He can guard basically the 1 through 5, but he's not really a good 3-point shooter. I think he's going to be really good as a power forward. I just don't think he's going to be as good as people think he is, especially like big man of the future. But I think he's more going to be like a Thanasis Antetokounmpo, where he's going to be like hustling for the ball, maybe for the rebounds, defensively, offensively, maybe, like maybe, playing the pick and roll a little bit, but I don't know. Last guy I have is Zahari Williams. Now, a lot of people that I've seen talk about Zahari Williams, they call him a bust, so I don't think he can be a bust if everybody thinks he's going to be a bust. Plus, he's not going to be a lottery pick. You're not really a bust if you're not a lottery pick. But Zahari Williams is 6'8". He's, lengthy and he's athletic. The biggest problem, though, is that his offensive game and defensively, he really wasn't NBA ready. He played on a D2 school, mind you, and only averaged like 11 points on horrible efficiency, especially from the 3. And yeah, he shot like 37% last season in college. So, and defensively, he really wasn't even that impactful or good defensively at all. Like, you would think somebody 6'8", athletic, good wingspan would be a great defender, but he actually wasn't. He has a lot of potential. I think that's probably why he's gonna get drafted in the first round, but I don't know how good he is. He's gonna need a lot of like development in order to even be NBA ready. Of course, the last part of this video, I'm gonna be talking about some draft sleepers. Josh Giddey is not really a sleeper, but he's a guy who I want to note because I actually knew about him before a lot of people did. Played for the NBL, led the league in assists per game, and I think he could be a really good combo guard. Plus, he's like 6'7", so, and the NBL plays at a very NBA style pace, so I don't think he will be that much of a difference, compared to like some players coming from college to like the NBA. The first guy I have is Sharife Cooper. He's a point guard, and what he was is that not only is he one of the best playmakers in the draft, he's probably one of the quickest guys in this draft, and he's also a really good ball handler. He has a sense of confidence that not a lot of players coming out of college have. And he also grew like 2 inches. He's also athletic. He also has that type of play style to where he could, play the pick and roll really good. Kind of like James Harden or Trae Young. And not only that, but he's a solid defensive player. So I think that, any other draft class, he would be a lottery pick. But because his draft class is so stacked and a lot of these lottery teams don't need point guards, I think that's why he's going to fall out of the lottery, but I still think he has superstar caliber potential. 2 other guys I think are sleepers are JT Thor and Isaiah Todd. They're both power forwards. Isaiah Todd, I don't know why his draft rankings went down so much. He's still athletic. He's still 6'11", a good 3-point shooter, good post player. He has good ball handling ability, especially for a big man. And honestly, he reminds me a lot of a Chris Bosh, a right-handed version of Chris Bosh, just a little more athletic and a better ball handle. So I think teams should take a chance on him. He should go in the first round. He has a lot of potential. And then with JT Thor, he showed out in the draft combine. I didn't really watch. I only watched the draft combine highlights. But he's athletic. He's 6'10". He has a long wingspan, and he's a good 3-point shooter. He honestly could do everything you would want as a big man and then some. And I honestly think he also has all-star caliber potential as well as Isaiah Todd. Another guy who's underrated is Sandro. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that last name, but honestly, he's a legitimate point forward. Like Nikola Jokic, he's kind of like a point forward, but when I say point forward, he actually moves somewhat like a point guard. He has a good ball handling ability. He's a good playmaker. He shot like 48% from 2-pointers. So honestly, I think he has a lot of potential. I honestly think he also has all-star caliber potential. I think that any team should draft him, especially because he's ranked 59th. I definitely think, he should be a higher pick than just a second rounder. The last 2 guys I'm going to go over are Flip Protrusive and Vran. Again, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. For Flip Protrusive, he's a 7-foot big man who not only was an accurate 3-point shooter, he shot like 41%. He also averaged 24 points per game. So clearly he's a great offensive player. He shot great from the field as well. He had great shooting splits, and he's athletic. He has a nice cut game. He's a solid ball handler. At the very least, he's an athletic 7-footer who could space out the floor, shooting like 41% from the 3. In my opinion, he's also a guy who has a lot of potential. Another guy, Vran, he reminds me a lot of a young Giannis Antetokounmpo. The only reason why he's not supposed to be projected as a first-round pick is because he only played 10 games and he only averaged like less than 10 points. But what I've seen of his highlights, he's really athletic. For a 6'10" guy, he's a really good ball handler. He's a really good passer, and he has a solid wingspan. Honestly, he shot like 37% from the 3 on like 4 threes a game. In my opinion, he has superstar caliber potential. He only played 10 games, but in any other draft class, I think he would also be a borderline lottery pick because of how much potential he has. But with that being said, that is the end of this video. There's also some other guys I want to go over quickly. Nah'Shon Hyland, Darren Sharp, Trey Mann. All those guys, in my opinion, are somewhat sleepers. Even Cameron Thomas. This draft class is stacked. It's going to be interesting to see who gets picked, who gets left out of the draft. There are, of course, probably going to be some signings after the draft class. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Like and sub, and yeah, I'm out.